Hey, welcome back. Um, yeah, I'm glad to have you here again. And today we're going to continue working on the app. We're going to build some forms today. Um, we'll focus on building a form for editing or creating a new group. So currently we have groups, and we'll create like a new route, and we'll create a form in there. And we'll go through that. We'll start with basics. And I think in the future we can always expand on improving those. Since this is an MVP, we will probably not. We're not going to bring in any add-ons at this point. We'll just start simple, and once we start writing more forms, we can always refactor and go down a different route. Well, thanks for coming. Okay, let's see. So let's get in our app here. So we have our view here with all the groups, and since we're in the manage view, we want to be able to click on one of these, and that should take us to that group, which it currently doesn't do that. And then from there, we should be able to edit that group. I'm not sure if we want to do an intermediate route where you click on it and you see details about that group and it's not an edit view. We'll probably do that. And then we'll work on the editing first, just because we want to be able to get to our creating of groups earlier, right away, because we don't really have that much data. And we can mock data, but it's more fun when you're creating the data yourself initially. At least for me. I mean, you can decide for yourself what's more fun. Okay, so let's see, where are our routes? So we have our manage route, and this is where our groups are. So we have a list here. That looks good. This doesn't go anywhere at the moment, so let's change that. Let's create a new route. We'll open a terminal here and clear that out. And let's do ember G, which is for generate component, and actually no, we're going to create a route, not component. Route manage / groups. Okay, I forgot pods here. We're using pods. Manage groups. Actually, we'll do manage group and then edit. I think that looks good. The index will be created automatically, and that's where the view portion of the group will be. So let's do that. And we should get a new. Oh, why didn't that? Did I not add? Oh, I didn't run. I misspelled it. It's not pod, it's pod. So let's undo that. If you do D, it basically undoes what you just did. So it's pod. And that should, yeah, there we go. Group, edit. And well, actually, we're gonna just go directly to the edit for now. We'll change that later on. But let's change this to be a link to. Link to and manage.group.edit. And since we're editing a specific group, we want to pass the group's ID. So group.id. And let's get rid of this ref, or however you say that, I don't know. And close that, and close link to. There we go. So we'll actually have to change our, so we save that. We have to change our router, and add a ID in here. So we'll add a path, and we'll call that group ID. What am I doing wrong? I actually do not like this rule. The reason for snake case in Ember is so it finds your ID automatically. I don't want that. I think it's too magic. And it's more of an Ember 1.0 thing, for me at least. So I'm actually going to ignore this for now. We can always go back and remove that rule from our ESLint config. So groups, and then edit, and then group ID. Okay, that looks good. And then if we go into our edit route, we're going to create a model hook here, and that's going to have a group ID. And if this was snake case, it would be snake case here, and that's just, yeah, it's not, JavaScript isn't usually written that way. At least I don't write it that way. And here we need to add our store. So let's pick that up. So we have, so do we have, I like to just copy this. I still haven't gotten down the, maybe I should just, why am I using store? Store sign in controller. Yeah, interesting. Just copy this. Actually, let's do this. And put that here. And store and service. Delete these other two imports. Okay. So actually, I technically don't have to do this. So I could probably just comment these out because the store is automatically added. So I'm going to return store.find record, and it's a group, and we pass group ID. And we need to add a type here. So this is a string. And can I find group ID? Oh, I wonder if, oh, what am I doing? Is that because I'm destructuring? Not really sure why it's not. Or is that supposed to be? No. Very interesting. I think did I stumble on this already? Let's see. I don't think I'm doing that anywhere, so I haven't. Very interesting. Let me actually. Ember decorators might have something about that. Actually, no, that's not Ember decorators. That's Ember TypeScript. So model Params, no. Route, no. Interesting. Okay. I think so. There's a type I think for. So let's just do a interface params and add a group ID string and call this params, and I shouldn't have to do that. There we go. That works. So basically we're defining what the params are on the model. And I mean that would include our query params as well. So I don't know if this is the best way to do this. Let me just comment this out for now. So this should work. And then we could do our, let's import our controller. We'll actually have to generate it. And then here we can do setup controller. And group. And that can be, we can even import a group model. And then here we do and set the group on the controller. Okay, so let's generate our controller. We will just edit this here. Okay, so we have a controller that's complaining that there is no group. So we don't have to do this here. I think we can, no, we have to do that. And import okay, so we have a group, and we have to define on the controller too, I think. We did this somewhere else. I don't think we... how did we do this in sign in? Sign in? No. Or says it sign up. We didn't actually. That's a reset. Interesting. I thought I already tackled this. Maybe I removed that code. It's been a while since I recorded, where I was on vacation the week before, so. Okay, let's just get back into here. We can define that there too, so we'll just import the group model there on the controller. And we will define a group, which is, and we will put an exclamation, meaning that it's defined elsewhere in our, it's set elsewhere, which is in our route here. So that looks good. This is interesting. I mean, I do this for all my Ember code. I like to know what I'm passing down in my templates. I know what it is, what I'm working with. I don't want to call it model, which is what's done by Ember by default. So if I didn't define this here, it would just have a model property on the controller and then the template, and model would be group. And so I mean, and then when you go into your template, and if you're looking to a lot of templates, you kind of, what are you working with? You know, it's hard to tell sometimes. And so I like to be explicit about what I'm passing down, and I like that. I mean, and there's another project called it's an Ember add-on. I think it's called Ember Route Component, which is a really cool use component route. Component route. Not seeing it. I think I have it open somewhere. And component routes. Okay. Yeah, so this is a cool add-on that's experimenting with the whole routable components idea, which basically removes the intermediate um, controller, and basically you have a route, and in that route you say what component is rendered, and then you pass. So like you can render multiple, but by default you can do one, and then you pass in things like attributes and actions. So like this is the normal setup, remember. This changes that a little bit. So you have a model, which is the async, and then attributes you basically define, you put what gets sent to the component, which is like setup controller in a way. And then rendered components is what components are rendered. And so, for example, here, this is, so you get model, you get params, and you get actions, and then you pass that down. I think by default you don't have to define this, and you kind of get this default. Your actions are here. And so that's kind of a nice, and then you get those as at route. That's like the argument that gets to have all this data on it. That's a nice little experimental add-on. I mean, not a lot of people have picked this up, but I'm thinking maybe we might try this out in the future. So yeah. Okay, so we have that. We have our group, and we are in the edit route. So let's just do that here. Let's do this group. This refers to the controller, and we know that's where the group is. And then name, and let's see what we get. Let's close this. So we changed our, this should link to it now. So if you look down below here, down at the bottom, you can see it says manage group and then one. Okay, so there's our name, but that's not what I expected to happen. So let's go back and fix this. Really, I want the whole page to change. So it shouldn't say manage groups on top. It should probably say sample group, and then it would be the name at the bottom. Or sample group is the name. But so let's do that. So the reason that's going on is we currently have our manage code inside of the manage route, which is the top level, and then group is nested under here. So group actually yields out here. This is the outlet for child route. So we can create an index route in manage, and that will be the main thing that shows up when you go to manage, the first thing. So let's do that. And group manage index. And then we will just we will take some of this code here. So we I don't think we actually have to groups. I think by default index makes this model. Let's actually take that code and looks like I'm using a different format here, so we'll probably have to change that our other code over there to use this. Let's comment this out. Actually, let me undo that. We'll just move everything from here. Call this. We'll move that to the index. and then we'll see what happens if anything breaks or if it doesn't work, and then we can debug it from there. So let's go. Let's do that. So let's go back. Okay, so we don't. Looks like we go to manage. There's nothing there. That's to be expected. By default, the manage route would actually make this into model, I think. So if we did model, and those are some nice, defaults. That makes things really easy, but it's not clear. So somebody comes back and they're not very familiar with Ember. They go in here like, where is that coming from? And so let's just move some of this stuff that we're doing here. So we're returning groups here. I'm just going to move this into the index, and from here we have basically the same. So the model is passed to here, so the setup controller is run, and let's copy that code from here, put it in here. And we got to generate we can remove this, and we generate a controller here. Okay, so now we have a controller. We need to define groups on our index. So let's copy that. Actually, we can just copy this whole thing. I just renamed that to index. There we go. Okay, so that looks good. This looks good. This should work. Let's go back here and just clean this one up. And save this. Okay, so we have our manager showing up. If we click this, there we go. If we go back, that's right. So this, I don't know why that's is there. It's weird. Is it because they're loaded it that way? There we go. And then if we go back there, okay, that looks correct. So this is our group, and let's start in our form. We're gonna just write some HTML now, and let's see here, group, edit, template, there's our group name. So let's remove that. I think we have some inputs somewhere already. Let's kind of copy those. The sign in, sign up inputs. So we'll copy this form. I'm actually just going to copy. Actually, I'm not going to do any of this. We can just start fresh, so it's very simple. So we start with form, and then we can define a, let's just do form, and then we have an input. Do type text, and value will be this.group.name, and then we can define an onChange. I think it's on input actually. On input equals action, and then mutate, and then we want to mutate this.group.name with value equals target.value. Okay, that looks good. Let's close that, and let me just put some more data in here. So we want a placeholder, group name, and I think that looks good. Let's see what that looks like. Let's actually add a button too. Button type equals submit, and we'll call that save or update. Let's do update since this is an edit. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Okay, so we have a form and we have a button, and if we hit update, the page refreshes. And that's basically how forms work, or how they're initially designed. Usually they're supposed to post something and then the page refreshes, and then you go to it, it sends it to a different page. That was before single page apps. But for us, we don't want the page to refresh since our whole app is already loaded in memory. So we can do, there's an event on a form. This is an HTML thing. It's called onSubmit, and we can give it an action, and we can call that update group. And here we can pass this.group, so we don't have to fetch it in our action. And if we go back, let's see. So this action will actually fire on the controller. So here we want to declare an action. Let's import our action decorator. The decorators object. And action update group, and then group is in here. And since group is, I'm gonna call that group model, and we can do group.save. Let's make this async. So I'll wait. And then we can do an alert here, just to show that it's saved. Group updated. And we can go back and improve this in the future. So that will kind of just show us that the form is working and that we've saved the group, the content. So let's remove that and just call it sample. We hit update. Okay, so our page refreshed. What's going on? The issue is that when we create an action this way, this doesn't. So Ember has two ways to create a action on a form. So you can use this. This is a more traditional way. You can do a element modifier, this, and that assumes on submit. I think by default you can do on equals submit as an attribute on here, but I think by default it assumes submit, and that handles the form not refreshing the page. So we actually have to do that ourselves here, this way that we're doing it. And I prefer this way just because it's more JavaScript-like. It's not like a special blend. I think it goes in line with what other frameworks are doing, and it's more familiar to beginners. So we'll do that, and let's go controller, and in our action we actually get a event, which is called I think it's just event. It's an HTML thing. Yeah. And here we can call event.prevent default, which prevents the default thing that should happen when a form is submitted, which by default is reloading the page. So we stop the reloading the page, we save our model. After the model is saved, we fire an alert saying it's saved. Yeah, let's have a look, see if that works. So move this, update, and it didn't work. Let's see what's going on. So looks like we have an error. Okay, so we have a patch event, and looks like we don't have one of those in Mirage. Let's go do that. Let's go find that. So let me just close all the others. Close others and open Mirage. Config. So if we have groups, we have a post to groups, but we don't have, let's do a patch. So I think it's very similar to this. Instead of creating, we'll just do it. Updating. Patch group slash :id, and then we need to find request body. Oh no, request params .id. So that will give us our group instead of creating it, and we have our body, and I think we can do update group .update. Not positive 100% on that. Let's try that, and then we'll pass the body, and we'll see if that works. Sample, and then hit update, and we get an alert. Excellent. But it still comes back with group, so maybe the update didn't work as we intended. Let's see. Request and response. Let's see the responses. Yeah, so that did not work. Interesting. Let's open up the Mirage documents. Documentation and models, and then let's see. Find where, save, update. Oh, key and value. No, I mean that looks right. Oh, I think we need to, I think the issue is that we're not passing, yeah, some body data attributes is what we need to pass. It'd be nice if we can get that data, like if it knew that this was JSON API, and we could just do like request attributes or something like that, or body attributes, I guess. Yeah. So let's see. So we have that, we update, we get OK, and it's still sample. So if we refresh, it should stay sample. Maybe not. That's probably not how it works. Mirage, I think. It's in memory, so sample, and then if we go back here, back to manage, we have sample. Okay, so that's good. And sample update, excellent. I mean, that was excellent to me. We just need to style this up a bit, and we can probably create a new group route as well, and just reuse the same form. So let's actually style this form. Here, let me close this, and we have an input and have a button. We'll just stop both those quick here. So we have, okay, so we have shadow, appearance none. That's a label. we should probably have a label. Let's do that. So I'm going to copy this label. And we'll put that here. And we will call this name, and name here too. And here we need to add an ID for the for. Actually, we'll do this group name. That looks good. And then we want to add a class. And let's go back here, and we have some classes that we have. I don't think we need all of that. Probably don't need with full, since we're not working in a. Let's remove that. I'm not sure what leading type means. I think that's the text that appears. Let's just see how that looks like. That's not bad. That looks really good. You probably change that text to white, I think. Here, we're gonna work on some of the styling stuff in a different episode. A more cohesive style as we bring some of this together. And we probably want a name. Click some. It selects that, and then we have a button. So let's go back here and style our button. So I'll just copy this. I missed the C there, but it's all right. Okay. We actually don't want blue. Do that white. The white button. We'll do blue lightest, and then blue. Does it blue maybe? Blue light, and text blue darkest, and that will fix some of the contrast there. There we go. Okay, that's all right. These are actually, the padding is a little off. And the name should be white. Text white. I'm going to remove this and make these similar to each other. Font bold, I'm going to remove it bold. And let's see. Okay, that's a little better. Update, that works. And let's actually, once we hit update, let's actually go back to the group. Let's create a group index route. And this looks beautiful, just the simple form, and then I think we can go and abstract this stuff later on in a different episode. As we start creating more entries or more inputs, which I think we'll do next. So that looks good, and let's create that index route. Group index. Okay, and we can just copy pretty much this whole thing, except for we'll have to rename it. That's good. We'll have to add a param there. Actually, shouldn't need a param. Since we're in the group route, so we're going to assume that we're working on a singular group, so that singular group will be the one that's passed in. So let me actually create this. It's going to bug me if I don't do this. I don't create the controller. So we have controller. Okay, that looks good. We just remove this extra code here since we have a store by default. So we have to add this. Index and rid of this. So save that. Okay, that looks good. But we don't need this part here. I'm actually going to move this to, I'm going to create a route in the group that's going to fetch everything. So let's create a route here. Route and do that. Excellent. Template came along, that's fine as well. So let's just remove this. And we will add that here. And copy the same. Params from here. Okay, so now we're not actually going to use this in this route, but what we can do in our index route is assume that that's there, so we don't actually need this here, but we get a model. So that's how index routes work. For the other routes, let's save that. For this route, it's a little different. We're going to use model for, so we can actually get rid of this as well. And this, let's get rid of this too. And we can do, maybe I should keep actually. Let me actually keep the model hook. Remove this and keep the model hook, but we won't use any of the params. We'll do return this dot model for manage dot group, and that will return the group from. So this only works for nested routing. So only if the route above you is loaded, it will have the model already, and it can return that. And this is actually sync here. The model is already loaded, and you're just getting the value that was returned. So that works here in this case. So if we save that, we have a group. So let's test this out now by going to our controller here and doing, instead of our alert, we'll do this dot transition to route, and we'll do manage dot group, and we'll pass in group dot ID. So now after it saves, it transitions. Let's make sure that works. Okay, so so it looks like it's erroring out because we actually do not have the, if we open our router here, our group ID is on our edit route. So we want to put that on our group route actually. So that's where, so actually we'll name this /groups/group ID. I don't know if I don't put anything, if I just do that, I wonder if it'll keep the group part. Maybe not manage group ID. What's going on here? Unrecognized URL. Oh. And edit, remove. Okay, the URL is different, so it's manage/1. So it didn't keep the group. There's little nuances like that. This one's easy to forget. Groups. I'll do groups just because that's consistent. And then group ID. I think I like that format. So let's do that again. And we click that. We get group/1/edit. Okay, so that makes it so you know where you are, and if you refresh, it'll come back here. Let's edit this, do update, and then it takes us to groups 1, which we don't have anything there, so it's not showing anything. So let's go back and put that in. So we have group and then group index, so that's where our group details are shown. So we'll do this.group.name, and it should, there it is. So that's our details, that's the index route. Let's go back to manage here, let's do the whole flow again. So group, edit, we edit it, update it, and it goes to details. So let's fix the flow we had earlier. Let's see here. So we were going from index to edit, but let's just go to view the group first. And then let me copy this here. We shall, in the viewing portion here, that template will add an edit button. And we call it edit group, and go to edit. So group ID is passed in, this.group ID. Let's see what that looks like. Probably don't want all this. Don't want block for sure. And we don't want a shadow. So we probably don't want most of this stuff here. We'll do text. We'll do text white and padding 4. Okay, so this is our, so edit group goes to edit group, we update, it goes back to the display, and there we go. So we kind of set up our little route, and we worked with a form, describe some nuances there about the different types of ways to handle the submission of a form, and what Ember does by default, or like the more conventional, I guess. Most people, I think, use the element modifier because you have to do less, but I think Ember is going away from that more and more. And as you can tell, I'm using TypeScript here and decorators and not exactly on the current Ember editions, you might say, because there's actually editions RFC out, which is supposed to, which is kind of the idea of, oh, it's really dark in here. I didn't actually notice how dark it got. 1 second. Which is the idea that that Ember is going to have times where the mental model of how you program Ember.js is different, like changes, and so that will be a time where all the documentation is updated to show the new mental model, even though like before that time all of those pieces would have been in place already. And so currently there's a lot of work, like decorators are already a thing. They're not in Ember proper, not in the main Ember core library yet, but a lot of people are using those. And then TypeScript support is a thing, so that's not, all those things aren't super mature, but I'm using them here now. And I love it. I mean, it's been, except for the extra verboseness. Like, this is not my favorite. I think that's just how things are for now. I don't know if this will ever go away. And then also, like, I mean, this is fine. This is part of how TypeScript works. I don't know if I need the DS record array thing here. Okay, so this is not a list, so it's just a regular model. That makes sense. So we pretty much did that. We did a lot, actually. I think I kind of went down a rabbit hole just to get the forms stuff working. But I think that was a lot of good routing information there, and how to work with forms, some of the nuances there. And yeah, thanks for joining once again. I think next time we'll work on fleshing out a group and just adding more fields. Looks like we have a lot of our routes in Mirage already, so we probably won't be doing much of Mirage. And we'll also work on testing again, because I've kind of not focused on testing. And that's because I'm trying to do a little more as I go, and testing kind of, I feel like, slows me down. And then I know my goal is to do more testing, but as I'm doing some of these smaller things, it's really small at the moment. So I'll start testing in future episodes. Maybe I will do like a couple episodes on testing. Okay, well, thanks for joining, and yeah, I'm glad you were able. Hopefully, you were able to get something good out of this. And if you don't mind, maybe subscribing or liking the video, that'd be great. Thank you.